Welcome, everybody. It's Dr. Nora, and I have a special interview for you today. I have my friend, Jamie Smith. She is a corporate executive who turned into a wellness guide and is the founder of jamiesmith.com, which is a wellness site created for women to reclaim their health, especially those women that have been impacted by celiac disease. And she teaches them how to listen to their bodies by giving them tips and tools so they can take control of their lives on their own terms. She uses knowledge that and the love that she developed from over 20 years in the healthcare industry, and uses this to determine a balanced approach to incorporating whole being healing using skills that she's also developed along the way, including complementary therapies such as aromatherapy and Reiki. So welcome, Jamie. I'm so excited to have you here. And goodness gracious, how long has it been? I was thinking this morning, it's been 2.5 years.
At least, yeah.
And my life is so much better I've learned so much from you, and I'm excited to have you share some of your tips with us today.
Yeah.
So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today?
Yeah. So, I spent a lot of time in the healthcare industry. I have a pharmacy technician by background and training. And so I've worked with a lot of different patients over the years. And we're such a society that's focused on the quick fix or somebody asking somebody else to take control of their health. And I kind of fell into a corporate career. It wasn't something that I was expecting to do. And over the course of that career, I'm a type A personality. So I had a lot of stress and anxiety, and I really had those pressures to succeed and even just do more than anybody else ever expected of me. That's just how I'm wired. And so it started impacting my health, and I tried everything, worked with my doctors to try to figure out what was going on. And it really wasn't until we started monitoring my vitamin D levels where it took me over a year to get even to an acceptable level on really high doses of pharmaceutical grade vitamin D. And at that point in time, I was suffering from migraines. I had carpal tunnel syndrome. I'd get canker sores all the time. I had rashes. And I'd never felt good. My digestive system was just always unhappy no matter what I did. And so finally I was like, can we test for celiac just to see what's going on? And sure enough, came back, I had celiac. Well, the only treatment for celiac is a totally gluten-free diet, and not just diet, but lifestyle. You can't ingest any gluten, including, lipstick and things like that. So I was somebody that had been working in this modern healthcare industry for years and years and years, and there wasn't anything for me. There was literally no help that this healthcare industry could give me. So I started looking into alternative therapies to figure out, what are some other things that we can do? And as part of that, started reading labels like crazy and understanding what I was actually putting in my body. And with those two things combined, it just led me into this path that there's got to be a different way. Modern healthcare isn't the full answer. There's other things. People need to start taking control of their own health and their own body, because nobody else knows their body better than you do. And so that's really where I came to pull all this stuff together.
Wow, amazing. And I completely agree with you. It's so easy to hand your health and your life over to somebody else. And in a lot of ways, that seems to be what's expected.
Yeah.
And you blindly follow a path that's been laid out for you. And yet that path may not be the right thing for your individual person. Exactly. So I applaud you for looking and not giving up, because of that, you have so much insight now that you can share with others.
Yes.
So tell me, why is it that you're so passionate about what you do?
I'm so passionate about what I do because I have seen the results. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I still eat junk food. I still don't go for months without working out. Like, everything is an ebb and flow and a cycle in life, right? But I do know without a doubt that when I disconnect from my body and I start eating junk food and don't listen to my body and what I'm putting in it, and when I don't take the time to work out or meditate or do all these other things that I know have helped in the past, I I just don't feel good. And that's not something that you can go to a doctor and just say, I just feel off. Like, right? Like, they're going to ask you the list of questions that they normally have to try to understand what's wrong. And it might not be that anything is actually quote unquote wrong. Your body's just not happy with the fuel you're putting in it. It'd be like putting E85 in a car that's not designed to take that kind of gasoline. It'll work, but it's not going to be happy about it. And eventually you're going to have big problems. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, is because I know what a difference it can make when you take the time to do these things. And it doesn't have to be hard. So I'm really passionate about simplifying it and making people feel like they're in control of their own lives rather than just giving up that power.
Right. And I think simplicity is the key, because there's so much noise out there.
Absolutely.
And conflicting reports, and it can be really difficult for someone who doesn't have the background like you do or like I do to really sort through what's a bunch of crap.
Exactly.
And what actually works, right? And feeling empowered to take that responsibility.
Yes.
So tell me, I know that you mentioned, or that your focus is women. So can you share with us a little bit more about how you specifically help women, and maybe that subset that you especially like to work with?
Yeah. So I'm like we just talked about, I like to work with women one-on-one, or, they can use the materials that are on my website as well to simplify their approach to how they do this. So not everybody has time. Like, I work a corporate job. I work a 12-hour day is a normal day for me. It's actually, if I go 10 hours, I'm like, this is a vacation. Um, so I don't have time to meditate, 3 hours a day. I don't have time to work out 3 hours a day. I don't have time to make these complicated meal plans and do all this stuff. So what I've really done is done the research, spent the time to do the research up front, and then broke that down into ways that make it simple for people to incorporate it in their lives. And then also that grace that you don't have to be perfect. Every day is a new day. You start over and you do the best that you can with the information that you have at the time. And so I'm really passionate about approaching those concepts with simplicity and helping people understand how to make decisions rather than just giving that over to somebody else, but teaching them how to listen to their body, listen to the research that they're grabbing from everywhere. Because I know, the Google knows everything. Dr. Google knows it all, right?
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So how to pull in that information for what works for you? Because even if you think you have it figured out and have the exact diagnosis, there could always be something else going on. So really just simplifying that.
That's amazing. I love it. And I love that you describe yourself as a guide, because that's truly what someone needs to help navigate all of this stuff, is someone to guide them and to help them. These are maybe things that you need to think about on each side, but we'll keep you going in the right direction.
Yeah, because especially when I was diagnosed with celiac, like, oh my gosh, like, there wasn't the information that there is available today. And like, I applaud the information that's out there, but it is hard. I've been in some celiac groups, and this is honestly what made me passionate about getting into the celiac space, is they're so mean to each other. There's so many people that are like, I don't eat anything unless it has the certified gluten-free label on it. Well, that didn't exist when I was diagnosed. Like, there was very few companies that spent the money to have somebody else put a label on their body or box that says, I'm gluten-free. And that just, again, to me, that is disempowering. Like, you need to take control of what's going into your body, not some label, because I've seen some stuff that's labeled gluten-free, that's certified gluten-free, that actually isn't. So.
Right. Oh, yeah. I can't even begin to imagine all of the the just misinformation, right? Or misleading information. So,
Definitely.
so what follows from that is, do you have some tips that you could share with our listeners, our viewers, that might get them started in the right direction and help them feel a little bit more empowered to make those decisions?
Yeah. And these tips are for celiac patients mostly, but they really work for anybody. So the first thing I want people to try to make time for weekly, if not daily, is doing a body scan, a quick 5-minute body scan, which also kind of masks as a meditation, if you will. But just getting in touch with your body and going from toe to crown. What hurts? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? Okay, you don't feel good. Why don't you feel good? Okay, we'll just move on. And just understanding every day how your body feels in different areas, and maybe at some point in time, taking that back and start documenting or tracking. Okay, if I don't feel good, what did I do earlier today? What did I do the day before? Did I eat something that doesn't agree with my body? I know for me, corn is something that it's not celiac related at all. But if I eat certain types of corn and I eat too much of it, my joints are going to swell up the next day and I'm going to be uncomfortable. Didn't get cross contaminated, didn't have any issues like that. It's just corn. It's something that I've noticed over time because I paid attention to what my body was telling me.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is identifying when you're getting to that point where you're getting anxiety ridden, frustrated, overwhelmed, and being able to identify that and being able to stop it. And something that's a really quick tool to do that is just do your conscious breathing, like a squared breath. And I have information on how to do that on my blog. Things like that just shut it down so that you don't continue to spiral and continue to let it grow, because feeding that negative energy is honestly one of the hardest things. And it's one of the main reasons I don't stay in those celiac groups very often, because it's so negative, and that negativity doesn't help, because guess what? This isn't going away. You have to deal with it. So find a way to deal with it with a positive attitude and a way to make it approachable for you, and let everybody else have their own opinion. It doesn't have to be what works for you. So that's the second thing that I recommend doing. And then simplifying health, like we talked about before, find the things that work for you. I was traveling when I was first diagnosed 75% of the time all over the country. And I always had a bag of nuts in my bag. I had so it's a high protein snack. It's a good source of fuel so that I don't have to worry about, I'm on a 4-hour car drive. There's only gas stations that don't have food that I can actually eat safely, or I'm relegated to eating, the Reese's peanut butter cups, things like that. So always having those little hacks, and I talk a lot about those and what those look like and finding ones that work for you. And then the last thing is do the research up front to also make it simple. So when you're in your home, if you go grocery shopping, especially when you're newly diagnosed, I always recommend putting labels on products that are gluten-free, especially if you live in a house that has both gluten and non-gluten. The peanut butter bottles in our house have labels on it so that I have my peanut butter and my husband has his, so that he knows that he can't stick his knife that he used on his gluten containing English muffins with my peanut butter, because then I'm going to have issues. So little things like that is just making that happen. And then I have those labels on my site as a download that are super easy to use. So just those little tips and tricks. And thank you so much, Nora. This has been amazing.
All right. Thank you, Jamie. This is very informative. And I always learn something new from you, some little insight every single time we talk. And do you have any last words for the people that are watching?
No, just take control of your health and be empowered. And if you're interested in working with me, you feel free to jump over to my website, which is justjamiesmith.com. And I'd love to hear from you.
All right, awesome. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And I'll put the link, or you can put the link in the comments below to your website. And I invite everybody to come over and check out justjamie.com.
Thank you.